Hey everybody, welcome to the discussion. This is episode 271, and I'm hearing an echo, but we might just have to deal with it. We tried to problem solve it before, but I'm not sure what's going on. So if anybody's got any helpful suggestions, please let me know. But at any rate, tonight we have the pleasure of having Tuhon Nick, and here's the faux pas of my initial flyer, which said Guru. I wasn't aware that he was Tuhon, so that was my mistake. At any rate, I'm going to be bringing him up, and I'm looking forward to this. We're going to hear about his journey and all that good stuff.
Right on, man. Cool.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for coming on and doing this.
Oh, dude, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And a second thank you, too, for your generous contributions to the raffle. I thought that was very nice of you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Glad to help.
Do you know what's
Always.
funny? Do you know I actually won your raffle, but because I was conducting it in good nature, I passed it on to somebody else. But I actually won.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm still deliberating if I should have done that or not, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine, we were at the Martial Arts History Museum banquet, and a friend of mine let me borrow $1 so I could buy a raffle ticket, and I ended up winning. And it was pretty cool. It was the guy that draws Homer Simpson. And
Okay.
he was like, it was a replica from that movie poster of Dragon, where he's doing a side kick into the
Okay.
sun,
Yeah.
but it's a donut instead of the sun, and it's Homer. And I won it, and he hated me forever for that one. But
And you borrowed $1 from him to win
I
it.
know, I know. So
That's a great story. And we got some folks. Yes, folks, if you are watching, please tell you where you're watching from. Smash that like button, and we're just getting started. So pre-FMA, you started out with Shotokan Kung Fu, correct?
yeah, like a karate system, sort of in the front of the neighborhood. But my instructor, his name was Al Solomon. This was when I was 10, and he had kind of an open mind. He like cross trained. He kind of done it since the '60s, but he did Japanese jujitsu and kung fu and karate. So he was kind of open minded for the time. Was always trying to expand himself. That was in Houston.
Okay, so you were okay, right? You were Texas before going to California. Okay.
Yep.
So
Usually goes the other way. Huh?
at what point did you cross over to the dark side? I mean, FMA.
It was actually kind of early. Some of Leo Gahe's students moved into town, and they would like his open-mindedness. He'd be like, "Okay, y'all can teach on Tuesday night or something," and then so Tuesday night became they would like, or the last hour or whatever would become FMA hour, and so I
Mm.
was kind of bitten immediately. Um, the story goes, I cut my mom's broom in half and made sticks and spray painted them black, and I was ready to go. So, because of
So,
Enter the Dragon, I think I had to spray paint them
oh, there you
black.
go. There you go. So this is when I read your bio. This is 1981. I mean, how old
Yeah,
were
11 or 10, 10, 10, 11.
10 or
Fifth
11
grade, right? So fifth grade.
doing FMA? So they allowed you in? Wow.
Um, yeah, yeah. We used to use butter knives. Like it was kind of before trainers. So we'd use, somebody would have something carved out of wood or and spray painted like gray and black handle, or we'd use butter knives. And then the other thing was you tape your balisong, your sharp balisong, and you tape it, and that was your trainer.
Gosh, I
These
know.
were
I keep
kids
forgetting.
too. Like I was young.
I was going to say, I mean, here you're amongst men. I mean, 1981. I mean, that's not common ground. That's
No, I mean it's also kind of Texas a little bit. Like knives, or yeah, kids should own a knife. Every kid should own a pellet gun and a 22, and It's kind of like that. We all had nunchucks, you know. We had bought
Mm,
at the flea market and Chinese stars. I guess shurikens, but
yeah.
we for some reason we called them Chinese stars. I don't know.
Yeah,
Back then.
definitely culturally, definitely different in Texas. I mean, right now, I mean, you can carry swords there, you know?
It's definitely even different now. Like, yeah, you can open carry and all those things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we were like in the suburbs, but we were still like connected to the country. Like we were kind of like rednecks. We called it like redneck karate or cowboy judo.
Redneck FMA.
Yeah, exactly. It was. I mean, there's so
We
many
just,
stories from that day. Like, because yeah, we used to wear
wow,
BDU pants, you know, and like that was our uniform. Or I still was wearing the karate stuff, but
wow.
all of
So, I
the old
mean,
guys were wearing the BDU pants.
okay. So, were you the only kid in the class?
What's that?
Were you the only kid in the class?
What's the last word? Sorry, it's breaking up again.
I know. What's going on? Were you the only kid that was in the
Oh no, no,
class?
no. We had a bunch of kids. No, like that was kind of our daycare. Like, you know, a little bit later, but you know, like all our moms would send us off for 2 hours. It was only at the front of the subdivision, so a lot of times we could ride our bikes in the summer because it was daytime till the class was done. But yeah,
I mean,
uh, yeah, we had a
you
big
guys
kids
were kind of,
class, and we would spar too. Like we would kickbox spar, like with those macho things, which aren't made for contact. It wasn't like super rough and tumble, like, but we would punch each other. We get bloody noses and stuff, like, and like, you know, it was fun. We didn't wear headgear, like we didn't get the macho headgear. We just had the gloves and the feet, and we would spar like kickbox. I mean, the skill level is nothing like now, like with MMA, but we're, you know, it was fun.
yeah, it was
We kind of tried
1981.
some grappling, like we did some throws and nothing like you know, Brazilian jiu-jitsu now, but we were trying it.
Yeah,
There'd be like one technique, right? Like a yellow belt, you'd have a wrist lock.
yeah.
You do your wazas and your katas, and then you'd have a wrist lock you had to learn or a throw for each belt. That was cross training.
Wow. So but in 1981, you also took part in the FMA classes, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was yeah, I mean, with a lot of those guys back then, a lot of those guys were kind of journeymen. They'd come in and out. So you would get these parts of the system. So it would be like, oh, we're going to supplement, like part of your belt system might be like um, the first 12 angles of attack, or, you know, the first 12 of Bisudario, or like something even simpler, like 3 thrusts from a knife. So it was like you would just get these parts of it, like a triangle, you know, adding the triangles and things like that. It wasn't like, you know, just mapped out curriculum. They would
Mm,
add, you know, like knife tapping or something, but it wasn't real thorough for us. We were still, you know, karate people.
yeah, but still, for that time and age, it's still pretty unique, you know?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I there was like 3 groups in LA, or I'm sorry, in Houston, and like you eventually you would go visit them. Not me, but like my instructors. I'd hear these stories, and they might spar together and stuff like that. And but it was there. But it felt like really like you had to travel. Like even when I went to senior year in high school, first year of college, which I didn't really do much, uh, but like I still had to drive mostly to Austin or San Antonio to train. Like it still was really far, like to find somebody. And you still use the yellow pages sometimes. And then sometimes it was just word of mouth.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
still
folks
that
are
add on,
watching.
like, oh, our black belts do weapons. That was kind of a thing. It
Yeah, yeah,
still
right.
is kind of in the Japanese, Chinese styles sometimes.
Mm. I just find it fascinating at that early age you were exposed to it. I just, I mean, it's not, you could say it's not the norm today, let alone 1981.
Oh my God. I know, like, and I may be blurring some of the years. Like, it was definitely there because, well, I can tell you that cutting my mom's broom story did happen, and I heard it every year from my mom. So
Where's my broom?
the timeline is correct. Um, but, you know, I also had a VCR really early, and so I was getting all the kung fu movies, and there was a couple documentaries that I kind of looked at, and I was researching. So for a 10-year-old, a 11-year-old, 12-year-old, um, it's neat to have that exposure. I mean, um, martial arts was pretty big in Houston. I mean, it was mostly kung fu and karate. Kung fu was considered exotic back then. It's not like the internet now where you can just find something. You had to
Yeah,
really
right.
either hear about it, um, or sometimes you could find it in the yellow pages.
Mm, just amazing. Wow, wow. So I understand you're getting bits and pieces. At what
Yeah.
point did you start getting more the PTA system? Was that with Guru Irwin?
It was, I would say it was when I started training with Ricky Riera, but he's in San Antonio at the time. But I still had to go visit him. So that's when it started. But ultimately, when I felt like I was um, getting the system, it was with Irwin Balarta because he had Tuesday and Thursday classes. I think that's right. And I think the place was called the Dojo. And it was actually really cool because it was really Austin. It was just a place where you could rent space there. Well, I think we did it in the park first, and then we moved to the dojo, and that was like a cool place, and you could see all the martial arts there because you would just rent space in it. So, yeah, it was Irwin. He was the one that took us through the system, and he was just big on mechanics. That was all we did really was just drilling the mechanics, which served us really well.
Mm.
Um, you'll hear
Yeah,
that
actually,
from if you get
nothing
Tuhon
but amazing things about him. You know.
Yeah, primarily he's really damn nice. Like, and he's just very inviting, and he makes martial arts really fun. Like you want to be around him and you want to do it, and he makes it feel like it's the funnest thing in the world.
Mm.
Well, I mean, we'd sweat and get bruised, but it just was always fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So you want to go back?
yeah,
Um,
and he was always his mindset was to develop instructors. And if you look at that group, uh, he accomplished that. I think he created a nice base in Austin for Pikiti or Filipino martial arts, and so that's I think his legacy because I think he knew he was in charge of sergeant training for DPS in Austin, so he was always that was his dedication. But this was he wanted people that would go off and explore Filipino martial arts and
and
try to get.
this is still in the 80s, right? I mean, maybe.
No, this was the 90s now. So let's see. Um, I left Houston and moved to Austin about 90, late 90. So it was like 91.
It's still pretty
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 91. I mean,
Yeah, maybe add another year to that, 92.
yeah.
Don't yeah. Oh,
We
so we
got
said yeah.
we got
Oh,
a
go
fan
ahead.
club here, Tuhon Nick.
What's that?
We got a fan club here. We got
Hey, look at that.
Chad Bailey, Dana, Richard
I owe all these
Pac-Man.
guys money. It's not exactly a fan club.
Oh, they're just waiting to play.
Yeah.
We got Trisha Dawn. We got Royce Ramos, Morgan. Who else
Hey,
we got?
Australia.
Alvin and
Ray Floro.
Jack. Oh, Ray Floro.
Yeah, what a
Yeah,
guy.
Maestro
I
Ray. Yeah, and yeah, that guy is man.
my
That guy's
buddy
good stuff, man.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
couple friends of mine train with him directly. It's pretty cool.
No, he's good.
You know,
We got
Bren.
yes, Paulo. Yeah, we're trying to figure out the distortion. Any suggestions?
Golly, I don't.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out where it's coming from.
As long as you don't mind me saying what, I won't.
No, yeah, I'm pretty easy. So yes, lots of distortion. Yeah, folks, if you got, we tried problem solving. I'm just not sure where it's coming from. Might just have to deal. But so all right. So then from Guru Irwin, how long did you stay with him?
I mean, it was just that I moved to LA, but he would come out to LA. His kid went to Cal Arts. He's a very accomplished musician. So I'd see him out here, and he would train my guys, and we'd go have food and stuff. But when I go back to Austin, I see him. But it was really like 91 to 94, I think, when I went to LA. Yeah, that sounds right. But actually, honestly, it would be summers and Christmas because I went to college back in Houston. So, or special weekends and things like that. So that's kind of been the story of my life, just traveling and trying to stay connected.
So when did you make the move permanently to Los Angeles?
August of 94. So I came out for graduate school. I went to a school called the American Film Institute. So my big push was to work in the film industry.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. My friend calls graduate film school his own personal Vietnam. It was like, I'm sure you hear the story from law school and stuff and all those horrible graduate schools. It's really hard, but they pitted us against each other. So, and making a feature film takes so long that it's not gratifying until the end, right? So that's when I kind of got back into martial arts and playing music because I needed some instant joy. But it's all kind of come around.
Yeah, we got some. So Paulo says the frequency interference is from all the sexiness on the screen.
It's actually the cigarette voice you have, the smoky.
Jeez. Okay, Morgan's saying the distortion sounds like a playback or feedback coming off Nick's speakers since he is not using a headset and
Who
using
needs to use a headset?
That's what Morgan is suggesting.
Should I really go look for some earphones?
It could help, but I don't want you to go through trouble.
I have to think exactly where they are.
Because this wasn't happening when you used your phone. Are you using a laptop?
What's that?
Are you using a laptop?
Yeah. I could go to the phone. That might work.
I'm physically moving your computer deep.
It's just a vintage laptop from 2011, so
could be it.
Let's try. Can I pop in on this one?
Yeah, you know what you can do? Just temporarily exit.
Okay. Don't know how to exit necessarily, but
come back. Are the speakers too close to the phone? Are your speakers too close to the phone?
No, it's not any of that stuff. Why does it say it's not supporting the browser? It did that the other night, but it worked.
If you copy and paste.
Oh, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this. It's gonna happen.
That's it. Just hang tight, folks. We'll try to resolve this.
Oh, I've got good backgrounds on my phone, so that'll be good. We can see if we can do those. All right, I'm gonna go and I'll come back.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll be back.
Sure. Anti folks, what can I talk about? Yes, if you did not see last night, although Paulo, when he gets a chance, I'm hoping he's going to send me the download, but the KI theme episode, the conclusion, I thought came out well. And here he is. We're going to find out now. Is that better?
Feeling that?
Yeah, a lot better. Lot better. Yes.
Yeah. Whole new world.
Okay. Absolutely. So thanks for the suggestion,
cool
folks.
Comments, but...
Yeah. And matter of fact, while speaking of the comments, I just want to make sure, Tuhon Nick, I'm not missing any questions. Wavelengths are bouncing off Dean's manly jaw. These guys come up with some stuff, man. I'm telling you. We got Paulo moving the system from using some Jedi stuff on me. And,
I'll tell one
folks,
about Paulo.
yes, thank you for.
So was that metal detector thing real, Paulo? Ask him if that metal detector thing is real.
Paulo, what is the metal detector real? I'm not okay. No, I don't think I missed any. Good. Valley martial arts is very ninja. Okay. All right. Yes, caused feedback. You guys did it. Yes, we did. All right. Okay. Yes. All right. So we're back. All right. So folks that are we got clear sailing here. Yes, I actually got a new metal detector today. So I guess this is a new hobby, Apollo's metal detecting.
So this is random, but that beetle that he found, I used to do art direct for this guy that did those, like, remember Mr. Microphone? He'd do all those infomercials.
The infomercials, okay.
Yeah, like the Steam Shark and stuff like that. And one of them I art directed was about these beetles that people place around the world. So you might be a millionaire, and it looked just like those beetles that you had. True story.
Oh, so you might have something really special, not just not know it. Okay.
Yeah. Ooh. So you might want to investigate that one. I'm going to get my charger for my phone now that we're talking. So you can see a quick tour of my house. Keep talking.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, we just kind of segue where your move to Los Angeles. So thus far, most of your training is with Guru Irwin. So at what point did you meet the great GT?
That was actually took a little bit of time. What I did at the time was a great time to be in the Yellow Pages. I went to the Yellow Pages and Edgar Salite was in the Yellow Pages. So that was where LA became super amazing. The amount of martial artists in Los Angeles, California, and just California in general, it was like a kid in a candy store at that point. Like, there was a V. Arnice school down the street from me. I was like, oh my God, like everybody that's in the magazines, primarily because the magazines were based out of right here. So they were all
Los
here.
Angeles,
so that was pretty amazing. And it was,
I know that. I mean,
the
that would be
and all that stuff. So
that would be overwhelming for me. Like, what to choose?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, and it gets worse. Like, if you ever try to put an event on in LA, it's like, oh well, Hicks and Gracie's, doing a seminar that weekend, or like, everything like the Taekwondo Super Nationals, or that, like, so you can never find a date where there's nothing going on.
I believe it.
It's horrible problems that I have, right? It's just horrible, but there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, and that terrible weather too, right?
I know, it's just, I hate to work out outside. I'd rather drive through
Oh,
the snow and go to a, a dojo and,
why don't you come to
shake.
Connecticut? We'll switch places.
I would definitely come to Connecticut to visit, but yeah, I know
That's
it's
all you
bad.
want to do. Yeah, man. So, all right. So when you're in Los Angeles, are you primarily still just focused on PTK, or are you shopping around, or?
Well, I like all my friends in the different arts, so I'm always trying to stay current and stay historical and see what's out there and see how different
Hmm.
people do things. Um, but PTK is my base. I mean, even the fact that I'm do Dog Brothers, and I'm an instructor in Dog Brothers martial arts, and I do all that. It still sort of comes from a PTK sort of mindset, I guess. I don't know, but there's that, and I'm still trying to. I wouldn't say master, way beyond, way past, way before that, but this crazy thing called BJJ, trying to get that thing down.
Yeah,
So
that crazy ground stuff.
yeah, I think it's moving faster than I am. So
Yeah,
yeah, because it's not
I
about how
know. It's
many years you've been doing it. It's about how many minutes on the mat you have.
no, it's yeah, not years, but hours, right? You know.
Yeah, like what's that skill that goes away or whatever you call it? Yeah.
Mm, yeah, I know. It's kind of a must. I mean, if anything, you just, God forbid, you get taken down just for maintenance, or like, what do you do if you get in these positions? I mean, that alone, you might want to check it out, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Just the fact that, like, if you, I don't know about you, but if you think back to like me thinking back to my first classes, like just the fact that you don't panic when there's a large person smashing their weight on you,
I
that's
know
a
when you
that's a
get
big deal, right?
claustrophobic.
What?
Claustrophobic is a huge deal.
Yeah, and not hyperventilating. But so that, I mean, that's just class one. That's important to start. So I've
Yeah.
always been quite honestly, that was Mark Denny that uh, rammed BJJ, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, down my throat and told me,
Mm.
you may not want to, or whatever, you're going to train that. So
Yeah, one way or another, you're going to be
it's
forced into it, or
important.
um. So, all right. So you're trained. So when while you're in Los Angeles, you're obviously on the
So
PTK track.
yeah,
So
that's
what led you to join
yeah,
that?
like you may not like it, but
Yeah, you went to, at one point or another, you're going to be diving into it. So
that
what
was
led you to the meeting with
yeah, absolutely.
GT?
Well, what happened before that was yeah, well, I did a long run with Dog Brothers. I mean, I went to the Inasano Academy first, because he was called a PTK affiliate. Of course, he's a affiliate of many
Mm.
things. Um, and at the time, I was a student, and they had like these fees and things, and I was like, oh shoot, I can't do it. It's not like, you know, I wasn't. The time wasn't good, and it was far, and there was like a lot of fees that as a student I couldn't get into. So I came back to that later, and I'm glad I did. But I'd always gone in ours, even back in Texas. So always on my
Tuhon Nick, you're breaking up
radar.
and currently
But
frozen.
it was 2001 in Montreal. Uh, uh, um, Leo Gahe, Griminar, I think. But geez, how about now? Any better?
Still frozen. If when you were in the previous spot, it was significantly better. if
Okay.
hang on, folks. He'll be back. I'd like to know what Tuhon Nick philosophies are when it comes to, yeah. So would I. That's a good question. We'll get to that. In fact, I'm going to write that down now so I don't forget it. Technology. Dagger. Hang tight, folks. He should be back. Meanwhile, what can I talk about? Who's coming up next? Supposed to be getting Hakon. Just got to solidify a date with him. So he will be coming on. Weather interest. We're going to be starting the PTK series. That might be interesting for you, especially you PTK guys. Here he is. Hopefully he's back with no technical difficulties. That seems better. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Much better. Much better. Okay. So we were on basically when you first, so I know your dog brothers and all that. You know what we could do? Well, let's do that. We touched on the dog brothers. Let's go into there before we go into meeting GT. So
Okay.
what got you into the dog brothers? Like, how did it happen?
So when I was at the Inastano Academy, Ron Balicki was running the door. Like he was like at the desk. And I just was like, hey, let me see the schedule and stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, but is there like a PTK person in town, like a student of Guru Dan or like, someplace that I could do some PTK? And he was like, well, there's Eric Knaus and, they spar a lot. So you may want to go there. And I was like, oh, okay. And so then I went to like Hermosa Beach and like it was Mark's place. And little did I know what sparring meant.
Eric Knaus. Why would you be concerned?
Yeah, exactly. He's 6'3".
I know Burton.
Power and speed.
Burton has some funny stories about him and the infamous after school, not lights out, after the classes at the academy. And Burton, his famous story is, it still cracks me up to this day, is that so Eric goes up to him and goes, hey, you want to spar? And so Burton's like, yeah, sure. So Eric has these huge thick sticks. Burton said that 1.5 inch diameter, 2 inch diameter. So Burton's like, okay, we're using these big sticks, so we're gonna go light. So this is what Burton's
yeah.
So they gear up, and so Burton's like, okay, it's gonna be light, do the big sticks. And all of a sudden he says, Eric jumps in, kangaroos.
Yep.
And Burton goes, thank God I was just gotten the KI hanging step through the lens of Tatang's uncle there, part of the Anasana curriculum, because otherwise I felt the wind go by my knee. And he's like, what is wrong with this guy? This guy is crazy.
That guy. Like, people don't realize he's that tall and big because when you see him on videotape, he moves really well, like extremely well.
Incredibly well.
Yeah, and you think he's like, you kind of think like he's a lightweight boxer or something. He just moves so fluidly, but then you're there and he's like, oh my God. Yeah. And then when you get that backhand across your face,
it's like lights out.
Yeah, it buckles your knees just seeing it. And you're like, I don't really want to close on this guy. Like,
yeah. I think people forget he was a defensive end in college and played lacrosse. So he was used to running around with a stick and used to crashing into people.
Yeah. movement. And yeah, and early on PTK, Gahe would be like, okay, I'm not going to teach the system. You're just going to be my fighter, and I'm going to teach you stuff for fighting. Although those things are, those big paintbrushes are fun to paint people with, but Eric knows a lot of the system like really well. Like I remember we were doing some drill, and he hit me with an ox jaw, like the back of your wrist into my solar plexus. It was like the most esoteric kung fu move, but it hurt so badly. Yeah. So he's a, he's a solid martial artist.
No,
oh
and
I mean, what's that?
Another bird story is when he would come under the roof and that infamous thrust of his.
Yes.
Bird says to this day he cannot feel under his belly button. So, I'm like, good heavens, what did he hit you with? He goes, it was just a stick. He just came under the belly and
God, I learned so much. I mean, God, just like the idea that like at the time it just was like I was so used to like magazines and maybe some videos. So like the idea of being dynamic was doing like one step, like to get out of the way. And it's like, no, it's like a football play. Like it's an open field game. You keep moving. Keep pressure on people. You can't just take one step, right? You have to keep pushing into them like a football play. Like that was such a revelation back then. Because they're just
legendary, huh? Jeez.
And for him to figure out a lot of that stuff at the time, it was like force of will. Like he just went over to people's schools and said, do y'all want to spar? And like, he's a salesman, right? But
no, Bird said he would trick people. He said he would just flat out trick people.
Yeah. Because what we saw was that Burton did that article in, was it Inside Kung Fu or Black Belt?
Black Belt. He had a job. I mean, I forget how many years it was, but he definitely was writing for them, I think, pretty frequently back then.
Yeah, he's a good writer too, like above and beyond. And he would say that like when he saw Eric for the first time, he looked like a banker or something. Wasn't that? And like he had his.
Ooh, your volume cut out. Oh, your volume. Tuhon, we can't hear you. No, we can't. I'm gonna wait. No, wait. Hold on, folks. Apologize for this. Always when you start getting to the good stuff, huh? Ooh, he's back. You are back.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Yeah. So where you kind of cut out was the banker. You look like a banker.
Oh yeah. Like I can't remember what the exact. I think he said accountant actually.
Yeah.
In the article, but with the pens in the pocket and the glasses, and he just said that first swing just woke him up. So, and we had always read that way back in the day, and so
yeah. I think that would wake anybody up.
Yeah, it's real. Like you look at, it's one of those things where you like look at it now, and people have gotten pretty good because of that stuff, like the emphasis on hitting tires and things, and there was nothing like it back then. Because like Filipino martial arts, particularly, and to fight it, everyone thought you would die. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but everyone thought a stick fight, if you touch somebody with a stick, they would die, or they wouldn't be able to use their arm. And so for him to kind of explore that sort of it's like being the first big wave surfer. Everyone thought that the wave was superstition or magic, or it was too big to ride, and then someone decides to go ride it, and now it's normal.
Yeah, it seemed like he was so instrumental in that, far as like breaking that myth and really, like as you mentioned, exploring, saying like, what are we capable of? What can the body take far as hits? And can you block power strikes? It seems like
Hmm.
that was what he was really trying to push, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's right. Like, there were definitely like just working out with them. There's definitely techniques, what we call high percentage techniques. Like there are places for all techniques, right? But um, there are certain things that work, and you tend to kind of use them over and over again. But that's okay. If they work, they work.
Yeah.
But he definitely had his collection, and you know, of stuff. And if you sparred him at all, you see him, so you would know. Like the kangaroo,
The
sort of
kangaroo, that
coming
famous
around from
kangaroo.
here and then into a backhand, throwing that backhand. So you're like, oh God. And
Yeah.
then, you know, um, and the roof into the number five. But he
Yeah, right.
runs at you when he's doing it. So he's like picking you up. Like he sinks down in his legs. So he's like pitchforking you, like pulling a piece of hay over his shoulder. Like you're being skewered.
Yeah, it has to be for Bird not to feel his something happened there. I mean, that
I
shit.
know, like it's belly button unrolled or something in there. So
Oh yeah,
you
I
don't want
think
to even think about it.
yeah. I tell you though, power. It moves people. Power moves people, man. I don't care who you are, and that power moves people. I mean, I always admired him for his advocation of like you don't need like 100 things. Just get good at like. And I always admired him and what he professed. Like,
It was, yeah, it's interesting because even today, like people kind of, one thing I hear is, oh yeah, that reminds me of my class in the '80s. Like when someone puts a Dog Brother clip up, they're like, oh yeah, that's what we used to do in our class in the '80s. And I'm like, well, I was young and I was there. I was little, but I was there. And first of all, like the sticks for the most part weren't that big. I mean, a lot of times you're cutting down like some furniture and the sticks might be big, but they weren't that big. First of all, and there were some rough people, there's no doubt, but when you put it all together, I wouldn't throw that out too exactly. And to
yeah,
put on, if you've ever touched the mask that he uses, you could take it like this and you could push on the screen and you could make the screen move.
it's first generation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's beyond that because he's pushed it out and pushed it in from getting dents on it. So it's weak. So it's a strong screen door. And he
Yeah.
doesn't wear any knee or elbow pads. He wears essentially baseball gloves and doesn't wear a cup, doesn't wear shoes. So he's trying to push the limits. He had to go to work the next day, but he's trying to push the limits.
I think he did.
Yeah. I mean, even to this day. So I think it's
Um,
impressive. Um,
so when you went to go try this, like, tell us about your first fight. I mean, that had to be like your first fight, that whole experience.
it was very scary. The first three, well, two for sure gatherings, I really couldn't. My legs didn't work very well. I got that old school like heavy leg thing,
Mm.
and that was a lot of it. And I couldn't hit hard enough. That was another part. Um, I remember uh, Mark Crafty Dog Denny gave me the thing. He goes, "Well, you're moving your legs. That's good. That's a real good start." But
You're moving.
yeah. So it's like, okay, cool, good start. But um, I did it. I fought several times, but um, you know, you get it out of your system. Your first fight's out of your system. You're just not. Some people do start out really good. I wasn't bad, but I just was such a novice. It was a whole new thing.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's
One thing that I used to do was I really liked the backhand, sort of like old school backhand jab, kind of like a back fist, but with a
okay.
stick. And I kind of found out very early that it wasn't the way I was throwing it was like a backhand jab, and it's not very powerful at the time. And it's not actually, it puts you at a lot of risk for the amount of
Mm,
power, for the amount of damage you're doing per as open as you are. It's not the best.
for
So it was
blunt
like
weapon.
lesson one.
Okay, okay.
Um, but it's kind of funny. Like when I think back at it now, that we didn't even have really like a uniform back then. Like we would just cut off our sweatpants. And we'd wear a t-shirt. Like they didn't even have like rash guards, and everybody wears board shorts now. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
totally came out of Hermosa Beach, but because Body Glove was there and stuff,
Oh, okay, okay.
and the surfers, and then the Brazilians were surfers already, and they were there. So I think that's where MMA fashion came from.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, all right.
That's my personal thing,
Yeah,
but it was neat. I mean, it's kind of like that power tape. You're like, oh, he said it, and I heard it, and I believed it, but now I know it. Like, if you want someone to not bully you, a couple power swings will at least make them think,
yeah, like what he's walking into potentially, right? I
right?
mean,
Which
you
I
know,
think is animal kingdom, right? No animal attacks an
Wild,
animal.
Wild Kingdom.
Yeah, like no animal attacks somebody straight on. They
Yeah.
sneak up on them, or they pick a wounded animal. I mean,
Mm. No, good point. I mean, true, right? I mean,
yeah,
you look
like if
back
you
at it.
hard targets and soft targets. I mean,
Wow. So, when was your first gathering? Early 90s?
yeah, it was like 90. It was 90. I think it might have been 95, but it could be the
Okay.
tail end of 94. But I think it was the 95, like May of 95, maybe. So,
Okay. So, kind of still in the heyday, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I was in class with Mike Tibbetts, Dogzilla,
Dogzilla.
Surf Dog, um, um, uh, those were students of Mark Denny. And Eric had his guys like Rain Dog, Mike Florembi, and Jeff Inman, and those guys were so tough. Um,
Mm,
who else? John Salter, he was underdog. And then we had Hot Dog, which was Ed Solomon. But it
yeah.
was cool back then because it was a little bit sort of like the UFC, because like in a way, like UFC, remember it used to be Kung Fu versus karate, or
Yeah.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu versus judo and all that stuff. It was cool because at least back then, people were coming because they hadn't seen it right
Right.
as much. So they would come with their style. So you were fighting styles, which was neat.
That
Instead of
is
like an
neat.
MMA style,
Okay.
you would be fighting a Balintawak person, or like a Lameko. There were a lot of the Lameko guys were always there.
The
They're
backyard
always
rules, right?
solid, yeah. And they were like, they wanted to test it, and it was like you were fighting a Lameko person, or Ladina Sano, like, or it might just be like a kendo guy that wanted to try it.
Wanted to see, right? Okay.
So it
Okay.
was neat. Um,
Yeah. It sounds like it was just a from what I hear, just from a few other, it just sounds like it was a special time, and it sounds like there weren't so many. So I'm guessing you guys were kind of collective in nature just by the sheer amount or less thereof, I guess.
yeah, yeah, like the Machados would just be watching. It would like be a big picnic, like around the field, and like Higa Machado would be there, and like it's when the Machados were all under one roof, and like
Mm,
uh, sort of these young Brazilians that have kind of made a name for themselves would be there, and then there would be um, different people from the Inasano Academy. A lot of people would travel, and then with Benjamin Rittner, the Europeans
right,
used to come over a lot more. Um,
right.
Yeah, so it was a neat time. Um, I mean, I think ultimately now it's just like the MMA, but the MMA. Sound like my dad. The MMA. Um, it's kind of you kind of now. It's now been distilled almost into a. There are techniques that everyone knows now.
Yeah, it's which I guess, no fault of anybody. Is that just, I guess that's the progression or how things just evolve, I guess, when I look back at you guys, I think you guys are nothing but profound respect for you guys. I mean, that like almost like folk heroes, so to speak. Um, so when you're doing this, are you at the time, are you kind of also doing Dog Brothers martial arts, or you kind of still in the PTK lane?
A little of both. Like I said, well, Tuhon Irwin Balarta would come out, so I'd get some training there. Leslie Buck, Tuhon Leslie Buck, I'd have out because a lot of people would go to the Philippines through Los Angeles, so I'd just make sure that they had a layover, and then I'd have them.
Yeah. Oh, how convenient,
But
right? Hey, since
I
you're
was
staying
always
here.
interested in what. Yeah, and the weather's not so bad. So,
Yeah.
and actually, LA was a really great place to live back then. It was, it doesn't have the
Man,
current
just
problems,
when I
but
think about all you guys, just you know what I mean? FMA, just like all the big names and just this, wow.
I mean, I can
Um,
also you can't
so
discount Sled Dog. So we also had Philip Jelinas and Loki
yeah,
were coming
right.
down. So there was a lot of good influence.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
sounds it. I mean, like, you're talking about like all-time guys. I mean, yeah, yeah. So far as the PTK, I mean, you started out where, so I'm assuming you were coming more from the 64 way of attacks, Dose Methodos. Not that I'm
mhm.
incredibly fluent in PTK, but I know enough of the jargon to do these
Yeah,
episodes.
no, it's yeah. That's what there was, and then it wasn't until GT came back, and then he had sort of distilled it into the Tri V. But once again, like I said, with um, you know, I'm bad with titles sometimes, but if I call somebody by their first name, it's a feeling of affection. Like
Mm,
that means, that I really care about the person. Like Irwin, like Uncle Irwin, or
mm,
it, he his his preference for mechanics over sort of book knowledge really, I think, served us all really well.
okay.
So we can transition between the two pretty well, I think.
Okay.
But ultimately, GT is a mechanics person. I mean,
Okay.
reps, 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 and more reps.
Mm,
Because what you're doing is, I thought he was. Imagine that. I thought he was crazy because he would like do it 10,000 times. And I thought he was just being hyperbolic. And then like I look at a psychology book and they say you're not a master till you do something 10,000 times,
mm,
or you have a handle on something. I'm like, wait a second, did he figure that number out? Is he being hyperbolic, or
sure.
did he read that? I'm like there's a method to the madness.
No, I'm sure there is. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So, did you struggle with the two, or were you able to kind of connect the dots and far as the Tri V and all that?
Um, that's a good question, and it's one of those things like yes, for sure. I mean, I've struggled with all of it. Like I said, like I was a guy that wanted 8,000 techniques. Like I wanted to know all the cool techniques and all the disarms. And it's like, it wasn't until I was like, I just learn a couple of things that you can always count on. Then it
Mm,
makes all that other stuff work a lot better. So that's kind of something that I've kind of come around to. And I mean, Guru Dan was always saying that, like, these judo guys only have 3 throws. I know they, you know, they can do 50 throws, but
but they
they
got
only have
3 of the
50.
core.
Yeah. And so that's kind of been it for me. Like, it wasn't until I was doing the gatherings for a while that now I've really added thrusting a lot. Like, some people kind of are surprised, you know, like, look at me like a guy that thrusts, like, not just like how Eric does it, which is awesome, but I'll thrust from longer range. But I wouldn't do it initially. Too risky. Like, it's a lower percentage technique. That's still not speaking to Dosi Methodos versus Tri-V, but I don't know.
No. So far as the Tri-V, I mean, did you get that more from GT himself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We had done that seminar in Montreal. It's the first time I met him. And of course, he's the kind of guy that makes you feel like you've known him for 10 years. You know, that kind of, just like, okay. And, you know, he can tell, like, he can size people up pretty quick. And he can tell, like, oh, that guy likes to spar, and he's kind of rough and tumble. And that guy's the kind of, like, scholarly type. And he kind of, like, picks you out and sort of already puts you in that spot. And he kind of pushes the, how he trains you. What I will say about Grand Tuhon Leo Gaihe is he's a master programmer. You have to, like, they say touch hands with him. That's kind of like a Wing Chun thing, but like, he will calibrate you. So, like, when they see people doing Sabayan or these other, you know, drills, he's distilling in you good mechanics, and he's getting rid of bad mechanics. And it's the most amazing, like, 15 minutes with him doing that is worth 6 months of training.
Oh, wow. All right.
So, when he used to, you know, everyone says this, but he used to stay at my house for weeks on end. But everyone, you know, he does, because he's in town. And just one night he was like, you know, because you never know when he's going to want to train. He doesn't live by a schedule. He's on, you know, he's on some other time zone anyway. He'll fall asleep at 1 p.m. But at one point, he is like, I'm like, I think I was working on the computer. He goes, hey, it's a full moon. I'm going to teach you like my old man used to teach me. And he took me out under a full moon with double sticks, and he beat the fuck out of me. Like, and not like beat me up, but we were like, okay, don't just move. There's no moves. And he would hit me in the hand, and I'd have to correct myself, but I couldn't stop or get mad. He would just giggle. So he'd be smashing me in the knuckles, and he'd be giggling. And, you know, of course you want to get madder and try to hit harder, but that doesn't work. You have to, like, maintain presence and flow and mechanics. And it was like, I've lived my whole double stick career is almost based on that one night.
Oh, wow. That's a profound experience.
Yeah. And like, you know, it's just like fighting Eric. You just don't, like, we would spar until I fought him. I didn't know how, like, I knew how good he is. Jesus, of course. But you don't know, like, how good they are. Like you see Prince play, and it's like, wow, he did that. And then you see him live, which I've not seen him live, but I've seen other people. But you see Prince live, and you're like, this is not even real. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, that's the same kind of vibe. But, like, you're just like, he's dancing and playing guitar and singing. Like, and then, like, when you do double sticks with, you know, Grand Tuhon, you're like, this is unreal. and it's not even, and it's attainable, but it's like there's a cultivation that is like there's reps, and then there's, but time and grade, they call it in the military. Like there's just something that's, you know, you can apply it to like Stevie Ray Vaughan playing guitar. Like that dude's been playing in bars since he's 13 years old. Like,
say, right? Yeah.
yeah, like
Teenagers.
after midnight, you know, with the old blues guys, like, you know, I don't know. It was really amazing.
Wow. Obviously, it had a wow. I mean, obviously, he instilled something in that night.
Yeah, like, yeah, and some of that stuff's hard to even like explain. Like I try to teach what I saw, and it's like, I don't know. You know, that's like when you think of people that unfortunately aren't around, or some of them are, like Guru Dan Inosanto. I know he's Tuhon, but you know, if Guru Dan goes by Guru Dan, and those kind of people are amazing. Illustrissimo, like there's a quality to what they do that is special.
Yeah,
and if you can ever be around them,
yeah. I mean, right. There's just something special, right? Exactly.
yeah.
You know, you might not be able to articulate it, but yeah, there was something there. I mean, wow.
I mean, probably the fact that he had to fight for his life for real is probably a lot of it. But he's also, I guarantee, he probably had a very high IQ.
There's nobody telling me, you know, it's funny. I just finished up the KI themes, and this goes across the board for all the gentlemen you just mentioned, but there's definitely the IQ. I mean, fight IQ, survival IQ. I mean, just all the above. I mean, there's nobody telling me that didn't parallel with their physical prowess and ability. You know, I mean, how could it not? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And there's an artistic IQ, which is, you know, just a creativity, which I guess can go to fight IQ. I mean, all those things. I saw this guy, Grandmaster Benjamin Luna Lima, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him one day, and that dude was real, for real. Like, and he was like, I think he was 75, which doesn't sound old anymore, but might have been close to 80. That dude was badass.
That guy was real.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh. Yeah,
that's funny. That guy was real. We got a question from Paulo, and he would like to know. I'm gonna actually, just so I don't misword it. I kind of just took some quick notes when he mentioned it. Okay, so this is from Paulo. I'd like to know what Tuhon Nick's philosophies are when it comes to espada dagger. Do we need to learn all those sequences? That's his questions.
Yeah. What I've been told and what I've seen, I've been told that the long weapon is to harass your opponent, especially stick and dagger is to harass, and the dagger is to kill.
Okay.
But then I've gone through some of the San Miguel material. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff, but I've, you know, and then it seems to be more integrated. And also in Pikiti, it seems to be, the dagger seems to be more integrated in terms of, you know, no, you don't have to learn all the sequences, but it's a good way. It's a hard one to train, like, and to spar, because people are more scared of the stick. But they also say that the spotted dog is a smart person's weapon, because, or combination, because each one has to think for it, has its own series of duties, and they're not lined up. Double stick a lot of times what happens is people are right-handed and the left hand just follows the right hand, even though they think they're doing double stick.
I got you.
Good double stick people like Eric Knaus, for instance, can work them individually. A lot of left-handed people can do it better because they're forced to use their right hand so much in class.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But so double stick should be a two-thing system, but it usually follows. So a spada daga is supposed to be two minds working complementary but separately.
But having individual tasks, sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It's also, it can be very artistic, and it,
I agree. It's some of them, when you look at from an art lens, I mean, some of the most aesthetically pleasing stuff is the long and short. You know what I mean? And it's it's hard not to see that or accept that. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it can be very attractive to watch.
Yeah, I like this sort of comes from San Miguel, but I like to use a longer, like a true daga length with my it'd be my left hand, and then I like to play it a lot with thrusting. So not necessarily, it's sort of sword and dagger as opposed to stick and dagger, which I like also. I kind of have a game for both. So you can defend against the thrust with the dagger a lot easier.
Yeah.
It makes more sense to do that, right? Or passing it to that hand from the long, kind of like you do hubud basically, or, the basic stuff. But then when you do the stick, sometimes you want to start blocking with the dagger, but then that's going to get crushed, right? It's going to pass through it. You can sometimes, but it's not smart. But with the thrusts, it makes more sense.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I just find it I find long and short just fascinating.
I do too.
It's my favorite area. Just the complexity of it, the options of it. It's like almost infinite to me. And far as me, it's just it's just so neat. You know what I mean? It's like,
I know you could spend a lifetime.
It's like, how do you master that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like, and then you have to find people to train it, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think with the dagger, there's an element of, like people always cut the hand, like block and cut the hand, which is awesome. But really, you have to get in semi-safely and stab them. Like
that's the thing, getting in semi-safely.
Right? Like that's, if all things considered, they might actually, they might actually freeze up when a real thrust comes in. You can't rely on that, of course, but that's intimidating.
No, you see that and you get froze. I mean, you're seeing the third point coming like between.
Right. Like, do I go left or right? Oops.
No, I know. We've all been frozen. I mean, you're just like, ooh.
Yeah. I find that with a spada daga and all that stuff, if you stay mobile in some way, it works better. Like doing it from a frozen position. Like a lot of times when I do it, just because I'm making a circle with a weapon, I'll pick something up by accident. I act like I meant to do it. So I don't know. Next time you play, think of that, because it happens more than less.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, definitely. So, all right. So you meet Tuhon Nick, you're going through. So when were you awarded Tuhon?
Oh God. Dates. It was at the Pikiti conference in Austin, and several of us did. I think it was 2011 or 2012. Yeah, there's a picture somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got certificate or a weapon, but I'm not sure if the date's correct. Let me see what it says.
Sure. We got a strange request, Tuhon.
Okay.
Can you guys say hi to, and I want to make sure I'm just pronouncing this correctly, Kyra. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I am watching with my daughter. Ah, how neat. This is Pavlov's daughter.
Hey, Kyra, how are
Hey,
you?
Kyra, definitely hi. Hope we're pronouncing your name correctly.
How's it spelled?
It is spelled Kaira. So I'm assuming Kyra?
Sounds good.
Right? We'll find out soon enough.
Well, it's great to meet you anyway.
Yeah, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, I'm sure she's really good at martial arts if she's Papalo's her dad.
Well, and great uncle's GM Pogi.
Yep.
Can't leave him out of the equation.
So apparently it's April 20th, 2012.
Oh, okay. So, okay. 11 years.
Okay. It is a big honor and a big responsibility. So just because I'm vague about dates doesn't, mean that
I got it right.
Special.
Tuhon, I got it right.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Sometimes I have a habit of butchering names. Well, I'm glad
you did get it right. Oh, good.
Yeah. So, wow. So, Tuhon, okay. So, when did you start actively teaching PTK as, like, I guess, a full system?
Kind of right away. I mean, in terms of getting to LA, I think, because I was coming off of a lot of time with Irwin. So, I had one or two guys that, we'd train and stuff. So, we'd go through Sagung Labo and, the Coup de Puño and all the stuff we'd learned. It was always triangles and swinging and that sort of stuff. So kind of right away, it's always, that is it's my bias is that is sort of Kali to me. I have a great affection for Illustrissimo and San Miguel. He may not know this, but I have adapted a lot of stuff from Fluoro Fighting Systems.
I'm a huge fan of it. I think his non-telegraphic, some of his stuff he does, less is more. Matter of fact, I'm waiting for things to slow down for me because I actually want to do some lessons with him. No argument here. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. And once again, going to Australia, that's not so bad.
Yeah, I know. I just looked up plane tickets.
Oh no,
because I'd like to go see him. I just like the cat. You know what I mean? Man, those prices were scary.
I know. I'm such an Aussie file, though. I was grew up on Australian music and films, and
I think it's just be neat. My wife's got this quest to koala bears.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I thought while she's doing the koala thing, I'll just. But it might have to be online lessons, Maestro Ray. Might have to be until those flights come down. Yeah. I like as Dos Manos. I'm interested in learning from him. Just I could. Yeah, he's something I'm definitely gonna start. Yeah, I'm just waiting for a few things to slow down because I have a very bad habit of putting too much or taking too much on, and then before you know it, I'm drowning. Yeah. So, but all right. So when you're you're teaching along. When did you come about with the school?
Well, that's kind of the problem.
School problem?
I technically am affiliated with a school, so
I think that's better.
Yeah, I do too. Valley Martial Arts Center. So,
Yeah.
not to be confused with Valley Martial Arts Supply, who's also another great company we're aligned. Combat Instruments and us are kind of the set brother and sisters companies, but basically for the longest time I taught in the park every Saturday since about 1994.
Okay.
Give or take one or two, but so Saturdays, and then once Valley Martial Arts started up, I started Valley Martial Arts Center. We started, that was, God, it's been about 5 or 6 years ago. That was like the school. That was like, but I taught the Dog Brothers class in at the Inasano Academy for a little bit, primarily
Oh,
when
really? They had a class there? Oh, okay.
yeah,
All right.
we do it upstairs, and well, we did it both downstairs and upstairs. It was Mark Denny's class, but I taught it quite a bit.
Cover for him? Okay.
But that's been a while too. I just remember.
Mm.
Always in the park, and then for as far as the school goes, it's probably been 6 years. So I did freelance film production for a long time, and as y'all know, if you have a school and you don't show up for one time, most people quit. Like,
yeah, you got to be. No, I had a school. Yeah, you're there. I mean, you're married to it. I don't. You're just. Whether it doesn't recognize sick days and and other appointments or things that might get in the way. I mean, it's but so now the current setting you're at, so they give you some FMA slots, it sounds like.
yeah, we do. Right now we do Monday and Wednesdays, and then Saturday. But Saturday's a little more Dog Brothers-y. But we do Pikiti Monday.
Okay. That was gonna be my next question. Do you keep things separate, or you kind of package things together in your in what you teach?
Meaning with other Filipino styles?
Correct.
I guess the testing progression is Pikiti, but there's just like something from another style that just says this is the right way to do it. I'm going to show it.
Yeah, you want to get the best of your students, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah. Like last night, I just sort of, certainly not an authority, but I've been told this story several times by Bahala Na people, including at the Dagohoy Lodge. I mean, the idea of triangles and, defanging the snake, Leo Haron standing there with 36-inch
I know.
machete waiting for some guy with a bayonet to come at and to angle off, the importance of angling off and, not showing your weapon until they can't judge distance, and then to have people behind you finish them off.
Right. The whole beat. Yeah.
I can't think of a better example of Filipino martial arts being used in the modern world, besides maybe police officers or, the recon Marines in the Philippines. So
yeah, right. The recon Marines in the Philippines. Yeah, 100% on them. We got another question in, Tuhon. Crocodile Dundee.
Nice.
20 minutes away. All right. Tuhon Nick, what was your toughest fight, and what was the fight closest to your heart as far as fond memories? Good question.
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I can tell you I've had the shit kicked out of me. I mean, I've had Iron Dog Steve Shelburne knocked me down and then plastered me in the ribs. I had to stop. At least for that fight.
Thank you afterwards.
I know, like I learned a lot. And Baltic Dog did some knee thing to me, and both times I think we all know that a bruised rib, a cracked rib, and a broken rib all suck. I don't know.
Sleeping on your side.
Yeah, how do you
You're playing.
sleep and laugh?
Yeah.
So those
Not
guys
fun.
take the shit out of me. But I learned a lot. Um, my fights with Benjamin are always great. Um, Lonely Dog, Rittner. I do have some fond ones. Let me think. There's some good ones. I mean, Top Dog, but it's mostly the guys that are kind of like my peers that I like Benjamin. Um, it was funny. Loki and I had fought one time in the what's that show, Monster Garage, and that one, and I disarmed him because he was coming from a low angle by hitting him, and then like we got in a grapple, which I should have been winning, but he headbutted me, which was awesome. So that was fun because I disarmed him. Cut to Toronto when we did another gathering, and he disarmed me. And so I was like, oh shit. And so, but I think I had a knife, and he was swinging a stick, and I managed to get in between the stick and stab him really hard with a rubber knife. But
Yeah.
I could have been knocked out, so I entered properly, I think. And we just both laughed because, like, yeah, man, I had to disarm you. You did that to me last time, so we obviously had learned some things from each other. So that was kind of fun.
Sounds it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a good one. Um, they're all pretty good. They're all fun. It's kind of like that thing, like when you pull something off, it's always a good feeling. Like, oh, that's
Yeah.
it. That light bulb goes off, and it works. You know, um, you know, yeah, it's that kind of stuff that I like. I don't know. Yeah, those are really good ones that stand out. I might come back to one later. That's usually how I remember things.
No. But I
Or
thought
else,
those
but
good answers. Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
Ray, Maestro Ray would like to know, what is your go-to techniques, your bread and butter?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh gosh, I don't want to tell it yet. I'm still fighting. I put I put a lot of for me it goes between the two. I mean, what it is for me is what I do is I bait with my head, so I wave in and wave out with my head. So
Okay.
I lean forward just with my head, so it feels like I'm in distance, and so I can either weave out and make space, or from that point I go in, so I can draw an attack because I'm a counter fighter essentially. So
Okay.
it seems like I'm closer, but I just move my head. And so what I do is I can circle my hand, and either my hand's in distance, so I either defend my head with this weapon, going with like we'll call it a reverse umbrella, or in Dog Brothers, you call it an umbrella.
Okay.
But basically a palm up roof. And then I can fire a backhand from there, which goes in with the entering. But that's funny because I also tie in some stuff from Master Floro with that stuff too.
That's Engano. In our world, that's Engano.
Yeah.
Presenting your head or giving the illusion of range that you could be hit, and then immediately in our world we'd be coming up with an aldebus. But it
Yep.
sounds like
Yep.
but yeah. So I was able to kind of distract what you were describing, and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
yeah, just simply, I mean, and honestly, it's a subtle thing. It's not like, and people just think it like you can't, you can teach it obviously, but there has to be a certain amount of experience, because otherwise it's just like, what, you just move your head? Of course you move your head. And it's like, well, it's just
Yeah, it's trial and error. I mean, it's stuff I do too. Don't think I didn't get smacked in the head by misjudging. Sometimes we all have those failures before you kind of like, hey, click, you know what I mean? But
and then it's like, what kind of an idiot gives their head, for a target, but then it's like, they're sure to take it. And then it's like,
right. But I could tell you, man, I've had some failures, man, playing around that
dude,
stuff, man. And then you feel like then you start questioning, like, what the hell you're doing.
I know. And then it worked 7 times before, but then someone's got your number and you're like, well, shoot.
Oh, yeah. Or somebody's a little longer than you thought they were, their reach. Yeah. How did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I just,
yeah.
like, the thing that I've kind of learned is, and, people may have learned some of this stuff way earlier and I'm just like now getting it, but like, there's too many options. Like when somebody really can spin a stick fast and have power from different angles, there's just too many options. Or like a kickboxer, like they can punch, they can kick you, they can knee you. Like, what do they do? So if you give them a target, you're kind of eliminating their options, and then you can actually react.
That's wow. Well
yes,
said.
like we think of the OODA loop and all that stuff. Like, there's just too much to think about. If you can dial them in.
Yeah, no.
Once they get only half as many things for them to do, right? So
right, just by giving them right, because obviously if they're going to take the bait, they're going to go to what is the best economical motion for them to go to that target. No, I think that was well put.
Yeah. So.
No, I think that was take out his kneecap.
Yeah, that happens too.
That's my biggest, I tell you, man, having several knee operations, that's my freaking scariest concern.
Yeah.
Going under the OR again. I'll give you a mental note. We'll draw. All right, good stuff. Just want to make sure I wasn't missing any questions. Okay. So then, all right. So, yeah. Okay. There's comments are coming in. All right. So, all right. When you teach your students, like, what do you try to instill to them as far as their journey? Or knowing that everybody's journey is different and what they or what they're trying to get from this. Their study of SMA.
Yeah, that's a big one, because it's like we were talking about this the other day, and Dog Brothers is a very big part of my life. I've been doing it for 25 years.
It's a long time.
And it's like, some people, when a friend of mine were just talking about this, and some people think it's crazy. And some people think Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is crazy, or Muay Thai. And it's like, for most people, it is really, right? But you need to have some of that in you. Especially if you're going to talk about self-defense, you have to be able to unleash some form of it at the right time. And you can think that you can do it. You need to have a test where you can do it. Yeah. Because most people are civilized, and to have violence against another person they're actually mechanical. We're conditioned. It's conditioned out of us. And that's a good thing, because
thank God, huh?
the better world. But when you don't have that choice, you need to know that there's something that you can do, and it may be running, and that's okay. But you need to know that. And so, there is there's having some sort of aggression in this training, men, women, kids, but ultimately art. you know, it's mechanics, which I can file under art, and I can file it under fighting, because mechanics is good, like good form and being athletic. I
Yeah.
try not to give them a pass on cardio if I can help it. Like, I think touching someone with a trainer knife is good, but I think if you can't run away and without getting, you know, winded,
Yeah, low gas tank.
yeah. So try to put some of that in there, but you know, I think they'll stay with it. Is, you know, customer service, like, it's fun to do.
Yeah.
And you know, they may not get it on year one, but maybe year two they get it, whatever that is.
Yeah. No. I mean, so how do you, how do you address sparring with them? How do you kind of break maybe potential anxiety levels or initial being nervous, and how do you address that with your students, and how do you, two-part question, how do you address that, and how do you incorporate or introduce sparring to them?
Well, you've heard of a cult, right? So like basically everyone in the class just says it's perfectly okay. Just keep doing it. No, I'm kidding. But like, it is a culture. It is a culture. Like, just try hard. You know, no, actually, like it's real. Like, a lot of it's just progressive. Like, okay, just hit the hand, you know, go for the hand. I do a lot of stuff with padded sticks, and very light padded sticks. I'd almost call it pillow sticks.
Just to get them initially acclimated and all
Yeah,
that.
and I use cardio to sort of substitute for sort of the more rough and tumble. I think that's kind of where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is kind of good at. Like, you're huffing and puffing, and you feel like you've really done something, and you know.
Yeah, no. If you go to somebody that's on the ground, I mean, that's work, man.
Yeah, but I do a lot of sparring with padded sticks, and people get kind of excited about it, and then as they want to take it further, I just wait for that. A lot of people are more. I've found a lot of people are more excited about getting into sticks as sparring than you would think. I'm always surprised.
I think you touched upon something that's so true. I think a lot of these schools don't give them the opportunity, but when they're giving it to it and they're done correctly, of course, I think you're onto something like that. And I think a lot of these schools, in FMA schools, I shouldn't say schools, but clubs,
Yeah,
sublets, whatever the case may be, backyard, if they're not even given the opportunity, but I think once they are, they're like, wow, they might actually like it.
yeah.
You know?
The one thing that I don't like, and I think this is gonna hurt it hurts bullies, man. I do not like anything that's not positive, or like, even if someone does something, it wasn't the best showing, I'm trying to find what they did good, and like, just the fact that you do it, next one's going to be better, and
Yeah,
I just
that maybe got them off the couch and they're dealing with a fear issue, but then they address it to this. I mean, that might be huge for them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And like, I would never want to beat somebody down or something. That's just not.
I can't do that either. It's just not my. Yeah. You can find something positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just not good. I mean, get up, like hitting people and saying get up, get up, get up, instead of like, I'm done. Like, that's different. Like, because you have to get up, right? You gotta, otherwise you're gonna be. That's something, but like, that's a learning thing. But yeah, to beat somebody down, that's just. And even like psychologically, like, when we talk about, like, I'm the instructor, but that's just, I'm the coach, man. I'm like, I'm learning, you're learning. Like, it's not the fucking what the Buddha, like, It's
No, I totally agree with you on that. I mean, like if you generally care about your students and just others' emotional well-being, psychological well-being. I mean, if you're doing anything but that, you are a bully. You are. you
I mean, yeah.
know, and that's yeah. I don't dig that. Yeah, I know. I'm just making sure. I thought I saw a question here too. Has always been going. Okay, DBMA has always been co-ed and has been and has been upon. My event is co-ed. Is your event co-ed, and how do you feel about full contact weaponized fighting and gender divisions and the state of current events in the sporting world?
Wow. Sporting
And
world. Um,
this is from Morgan.
golly. Gosh. Let's see. Well, my padded stick tournament, women can fight men all day, and kids can fight men, and kids can fight women.
Okay.
I think there's very low risk, and I think it's also very good to sort of be. I've said, I probably contradict myself, but having your, in deep water. I mean, it's a padded stick thing. It's cardio really that's makes it tiring and tough. But so that's that. Full contact. That's interesting. Certainly in most self-defense situations, women are going to be attacked by men. I think statistically we can agree.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
shouldn't they fight men in class? Well, they should. But golly, I think it needs to be supervised.
Yeah, I would agree on that. Definitely supervision, just making sure they're not getting escalated on each of their parts. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a very
yeah, co-ed opens up a gamut of, and I don't, not just issues, but just, who you're pairing with, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that come into play. Where's the psyche on each one, and how long they've been with you, and and I think a bunch of factors come into play, and all that. Yeah.
yeah. It's I can tell you, I think I was a little behind the curve on it. I think I was a little. I work very well. Let's say I'm better about promoting. I've always promoted females in the art, but to fight and to have a better place, a higher place in the art. Like I think I was a little behind the curve. I think I think I was like normal person, like where it was, but I think I could be a better. I've been trying to be a better leader in that form.
Well, I'm sure you are. I've heard nothing but good things about you. Matter of fact, Jake Guy is just saying right now that you're an awesome instructor as well as stuff. So it sounds like whatever you're doing well. I mean, you're definitely in making sure there's a spot for them and that they're entitled and they have an opportunity to participate.
Well, I'll tell you, I dated a girl and was obviously very good friends with a girl, and she could fight men, and she wasn't allowed to, and I didn't speak up. And she would be the person that I should have been more vocal. She was a real trailblazer. I don't know if she would want that out in I won't say her name.
Yeah, understood.
Private, it's not that big a deal, but to be fair, I could have been a better advocate. So
yeah, but maybe you had to go through a learning. I mean, we all,
yeah, we're always learning.
Yeah, so I mean, gosh, there's things, man. I know for sure, man. I could have when I had a school, I could have done a hell of a lot better. You know what I mean? In reflection,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I think it goes with the territory and stuff. But I mean, you came highly touted. I heard nothing but great things about you. So obviously, you're clearly doing things well.
Well,
So
with a cult, you don't have any, people saying bad things about you. So,
that's true too. I mean, and I've been in my cults. So what do
right?
you
It's push them right off the boat.
just look at my biography. No. um, so what do this has been wonderful. I'm so glad we made this happen.
Yeah.
So
No, this is a great way to meet you.
yeah. I learned to just listen to you. So what's future goals? For yourself, events, school, personal development. What's in the cards?
Well, I have a business, so I want to maintain the quality of the business and keep being a sustainable supplier and provide good customer service, and maybe even make some money on the way. That's the thing. That's something I forgot about doing, teaching. But I'd like to have probably a good, small stable of instructors that I've taught that are out there, kind of like how Irwin did.
Hmm.
And then maybe a Kali feature film out there in the world. That would be a nice little legacy.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like the Raid, except for Kali specifically.
Yeah.
That would be good. Oh, and then sort of maintain the quality, helping to maintain the quality of the Dog Brothers as an event and as a movement, I guess you could call it. Yeah. At one point, we realized everybody was, I'm exaggerating, was over 40, and we're like, this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
We're like, no, time to let the whippersnappers come in.
Yeah. Right. I mean, gosh. Oof. Man. But wow. This has been great. I appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Oh man, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Are you part of FMA discussion? I'm the zookeeper. The zoo? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I did press join. I am in there. I do get the feeds and stuff.
Oh, okay. So you are in the zoo.
I am in the cult. I mean, I'm a big, I like all those cult documentaries and stuff. So I'm all like, I'm a big Jim
Word of the evening, folks.
What's that?
The word of the evening, folks. Cult.
Yeah, exactly. And the band too. So.
Oh, I love the cult.
Right? Come on.
Oh my God, they're one of my favorite growing up. Saw me. I'm like, oh, Ian.
Did you see him? Have you ever seen him?
Oh my God, yeah. When they Love, the album Love. Oh, you got.
Yeah. Oh my God, so good.
No.
Have you ever heard Electric produced like Love?
Yeah. No. Well, here you got a couple minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Check this out.
Okay. What are we in store for?
Okay.
Oh shit! Oh, is
live, baby? Live, baby.
That's an original.
That's it, baby.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, cult. Yeah, they just did it for me, and also Death Cult, the pre-cult.
Yeah, Southern Death Cult, right?
Southern Death Cult. They went to Death Cult and then Cult.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They but if you heard Electric, they produced it with all the guitar sounds from Love. So instead of sounding like AC/DC, it sounds more like the Love album.
Billy Duff? What they do with Billy?
He was still like, instead of sounding like AC/DC as much, there's a couple tracks that sound like they're an extension of the Love album, just the way they're produced.
That's the one, you know what? Because that's the one album I don't have. I have all the Southern Death.
Yeah.
I have obviously Love, and then fire.
Yeah.
And then the one before, oh my gosh, the first album before Love.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Love was the jam for me because
Yeah.
I liked alternative music and being in a band and guitar player.
Yeah.
They actually had guitar parts and stuff.
Oh my God, Alternative is my favorite. Oh yeah, oh my gosh, the Ramones,
Yeah.
Joy Division, all the
Joy Division's shit.
Dude.
I mean, New Order was really like, my high school.
I saw them, and I appreciate the aftermath of Joy Division, but they just weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They went techno and but Echo and the Bunnymen.
Oh, that's my favorite. I just saw them.
Oh, did you? I saw them on the pier in New York City across the water. Jeannie Loves Jezebel.
Oh yeah. They've got a big one of those concerts with all the bands coming out.
Yeah.
But Echo and the Bunnymen, God, great songs.
Crocodile and all that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Johnny Marr, guitar fan. REM and U2 were my jams too.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's funny. I was in '87. They were talking about touring the Smiths, and then Morrissey has a midlife crisis and leaves the Smiths.
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks.
I know, because people were still into metal. Like all my friends were metal guitar heads, and I was like, "There's more girls over here and with this stuff," but you wanted to have a guitar part to play. So
I still listen to all that stuff. As a matter of fact, I don't even listen to radio. It's like all these. I don't know. It just today's music is. I mean, not to say there's not some good stuff out there underground and all that, but
check this band out. I'll put it in.
Who's that?
It's Enola Fall.
Who's that?
They're from Australia. Enola Fall. They're modern.
What's it called?
And like Enola Gay, like the plane.
Okay.
But instead of Enola Fall, you can like find it on YouTube or all that stuff. But they're like alternative revisited, and they're good songwriters.
Oh, I'm gonna have to definitely check that out. Thank you for that.
Yeah, they're cool guys, and he's also a kung fu Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. So that's kind of cool.
Wow. Were you a Chameleons UK fan?
Which one?
Chameleons UK?
No, I was thinking the Charlatans UK when you said that, but no, not as much. No, there was a couple I missed.
Adrian Borland, The Sound?
Yeah. I like a cassette.
Those two bands to me just did not get like the due. They were just.
I like The Fall. I thought that was a cool band.
Who's that?
The Fall.
Oh my God, I love The Fall. Oh,
yeah, that's a one that's like a. You got business?
No. Got my daughters spying on me. Yeah. But wow, we're gonna have to talk one day just on bands.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's my stuff.
And, well, this has been awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do is I download this and I'll post it to your wall from the YouTube and all that. So
okay, thank you.
And it'll be in the group too. If you visit the zoo again. So
right on. I love that.
All right, Tuhon, you take care.
Hey, you have a great day, man. See everybody. See y'all.
Bye. All right, that wraps up 271, and I appreciate it. All of you guys that watched and commented. Who is next? I believe I'm trying to get Hawk on. I got to just check out scheduling and all that, but I'm not definite. But in the meantime, I'll definitely post that, keep everybody in the loop. All right, folks, thank you, and I will see you next time.